In 2008, one hiring decision inside Silicon Valley quietly changed the internet forever. Within a few years, billions of people would unknowingly live inside a system she helped build. Not a founder, not a coder, yet one of the most powerful executives in tech history. By 2020, over 3 billion people were using platforms shaped by her business model. Every scroll, every click, every ad, carefully engineered for profit. The world called it social media. Silicon Valley called it the attention economy. But this story doesn't begin in Silicon Valley. It begins in Washington, D.C., in the late 1960s, decades before social media existed, before algorithms, before the internet. On August 28, 1969, a baby girl was born into a highly educated American family. No one knew she would help shape the digital world, or that billions would eventually feel the impact of her decisions. Her father was an eye doctor. Her mother was a college educator. In this household, education wasn't encouraged, it was expected. Excellence was the family culture. Growing up in the 1970s and 1980s, she watched a world before the internet. A world where power lived in government offices and financial institutions. That would soon change. In school, she stood out immediately. Top grades. Competitive mindset. Teachers saw leadership early. The path to elite education had already begun. By 1987, she graduated high school with exceptional academic achievements. The next step was obvious, one of the most powerful universities in the world. In 1987, she entered Harvard University, the gateway to global influence, the training ground for future presidents, billionaires, and power brokers. At Harvard, she studied economics. But more importantly, she met the mentor who would open the first door to real power in Washington. In 1989, during her Harvard years, she met an influential economist who would change her career forever. He noticed her intelligence, discipline, and ambition immediately. This mentor would later open the doors to Washington's inner circle. By 1991, she graduated from Harvard with highest honors in economics. But graduation wasn't the finish line. It was the beginning of her entry into real power. In 1993, she joined the World Bank. Her work focused on global development projects in Asia. It was her first exposure to international power and global systems. She traveled across developing countries, studying poverty, infrastructure, and economic systems, understanding how policy affects millions of lives. But the real opportunity came in 1996. Her Harvard mentor became U.S. Treasury Secretary, and he called her to Washington. At just 27 years old, she joined the U.S. Treasury Department. Suddenly, she was working inside America's Economic Command Center. She worked directly on major financial policy during the late 1990s. This was the era of globalization, booming markets, and rising tech giants. Inside government, she learned how global power truly moves. Policy, money, influence, and timing. Lessons that would later shape Silicon Valley. But government moved slowly. Meetings, regulations, approvals. The tech world was accelerating far faster. In 2001, she made a decision that would change her life forever. She left Washington for Silicon Valley. In 2001, Silicon Valley was entering chaos. The dot-com bubble had just burst. Hundreds of startups were collapsing overnight. But one company was quietly rising. That company was a young search engine still trying to survive. It had millions of users, but almost no revenue. In 2001, she joined the company as vice president of global online sales. Not to build products, but to build money. At the time, the company faced a simple problem. People loved using it, but it barely made profit. Investors were asking a dangerous question. How will this company make billions? No one had the answer yet. She saw an opportunity others ignored. Human attention could become the most valuable product on Earth. What if ads were not random? What if ads were perfectly targeted, based on behavior, interests, and intent? The idea was simple. The execution would change the internet forever. Over the next few years, she helped build the company's advertising engine. AdWords and AdSense were born. By 2007, the company's ad business was generating tens of billions annually. The blueprint for digital advertising was complete. By 2007, she had become one of the most successful executives in Silicon Valley. The advertising machine she helped build was unstoppable. But a young founder was facing a crisis. His platform had exploded in popularity. Millions were joining every month. But the company still had no clear business model. Servers were growing. Costs were rising. Investors were nervous. The platform needed a way to make serious money. In late 2007, the young CEO met the executive who built Google's money machine. It was a meeting that would change tech history. The CEO asked one simple question: "Can you help turn this platform into a real business?" In March 2008, she officially joined the company as Chief Operating Officer. The real transformation had begun. At the time, the platform had over 70 million users, but almost no sustainable revenue. That would change fast. Her mission was clear: turn human connection into predictable profit. She brought the same blueprint that transformed Google: data-driven advertising at global scale. And within a few years, the platform became one of the most profitable companies in history. By 2009, the platform began rolling out a new advertising system. It wasn't like television or billboards. It was smarter, personal, precise. Advertisers could now target people by age, interests, location, and behavior. Marketing had entered a new era. Every like, every share, every click became data. And data became profit. Businesses rushed in. Small companies suddenly had the power of global advertising. The company's revenue began to skyrocket. Billions of dollars flowed into Silicon Valley. By 2012, the company went public in one of the biggest tech IPOs ever. The valuation shocked the world. Over $100 billion. The social media era had officially become big business. She became one of the most powerful women in corporate America, a symbol of leadership in tech. In 2013, she released a best-selling book encouraging women to pursue leadership. Her influence expanded beyond tech. Publicly, she was admired. Privately, the platform was growing more powerful than anyone imagined. By 2014, the platform's algorithms had grown powerful enough to influence emotions, attention, and even opinions. Few outside the company understood the implications. Every post, like, and share could be leveraged for engagement. Outrage spread faster than news. Fear traveled faster than facts. Internal reports warned of misinformation spreading. But growth metrics dominated decision-making. In 2015, external researchers flagged the first major privacy concerns. Millions of users' data were being collected and analyzed. The executive defended the company publicly. Behind closed doors, she knew the stakes were enormous. Advertisers and politicians now realized the platform could target people with unprecedented precision. Power had shifted. In 2016, the Cambridge Analytica scandal erupted. User data had been misused to influence political campaigns worldwide. The platform faced global outrage. Governments demanded answers. Congress called executives to testify. Privately, the executive had to balance defending the company while managing internal teams aware of ethical conflicts. The controversy marked a turning point. The world began asking, how much power is too much for one company? By 2017, whistleblowers began exposing internal documents. Allegations of prioritizing growth over safety shocked the public. Internal memos revealed that engagement metrics sometimes outweighed user well-being. Profit had become the ultimate law. Governments around the world launched investigations. The platform faced fines, regulations, and intense scrutiny. In 2018, the Cambridge Analytica scandal went global. Users realized their private information had been weaponized. For the executive, defending the company meant walking a tightrope between morality and survival. Internally, the team struggled. Engineers knew the algorithms could manipulate behavior, yet growth targets demanded results. The world now questioned, should one platform wield the power to influence billions? Public trust began to erode. Users, advertisers, and politicians all questioned the ethics of the platform. Yet inside, the executive remained focused. Growth, influence, and control remained the priorities. By 2019, the platform had become a global infrastructure. Its reach extended beyond social media, shaping elections, culture, and information itself. By 2020, the platform's influence had reached nearly half the world's population. Every news cycle, every debate, every trend passed through its algorithm. Internally, employees debated ethics. Some warned that algorithms could manipulate elections, incite unrest, or polarize societies. But the executive maintained focus on engagement and growth. Data was power, and power was survival. Global governments pressured the company to take responsibility, yet change was slow. Bureaucracy and profit often clashed. In 2021, leaks revealed that even top executives had sometimes ignored warnings about misinformation and harmful content. Users began questioning their dependence. Movements to leave the platform gained traction worldwide. Yet the numbers kept rising. Monthly active users, ad revenue, global reach, all breaking records despite scandals. This created a paradox. The world distrusted the platform, yet relied on it for connection, information, and commerce. Within the company, whispers of conspiracy began. Some suggested that growth was prioritized over human safety intentionally. The executive's decisions had created something no single person could fully control, a system influencing billions with almost invisible hands. By 2022, lawsuits and investigations mounted. Governments questioned whether the platform had overstepped ethical and legal boundaries. Internally, stress and pressure were palpable. Teams struggled to manage content moderation while maintaining growth metrics. The executive's personal life remained private, but the weight of billions of users' data, misinformation, and public scrutiny was immense. Every decision now had consequences, politically, socially, and financially. A single mistake could lead to global outrage. Whistleblowers continued to reveal internal memos. Employees expressed frustration that moral warnings were ignored for growth. Social media addiction, election interference, and polarization became unavoidable talking points in news headlines worldwide. Despite criticism, revenue grew. Advertisers couldn't resist the reach. The world had become dependent. The executive faced moral dilemmas daily. Growth and profit versus human safety and public trust, a constant balancing act. Outside, the public debated her influence. Was she a visionary, a manipulator, or something in between? By 2023, the platform had cemented its global dominance. Few questioned the scale of her influence, yet the consequences were undeniable. By 2023, the platform faced its biggest scrutiny yet. Regulators demanded accountability for privacy, misinformation, and global manipulation. Internally, executive meetings became high-stakes crises. Every decision could spark a scandal or regulatory backlash. Social media became a tool for influence unlike anything seen in history. Political campaigns, viral content, and psychological manipulation converged. Critics accused the company of prioritizing engagement over ethics. Allegations ranged from privacy violations to content manipulation. Despite growing scrutiny, her reputation as a strong, strategic executive remained untarnished publicly. Employees began leaking internal reports to the media. Each revelation amplified global outrage. The public began connecting the dots. Algorithms, attention, influence, the company's control was immense. Board meetings became tense. Legal teams, PR teams, and engineers debated how to respond to escalating crises. International governments demanded reforms. The executive faced the ultimate question: growth at any cost, or ethical responsibility? The company teetered between unprecedented influence and global condemnation. Decisions made in private could reshape society forever. By 2024, investigations and public scrutiny reached unprecedented levels. Every executive decision was dissected by the media and regulators. Leaks revealed internal debates over the morality of influencing billions. Some engineers argued, "We built a machine that controls human behavior." Meanwhile, global news cycles amplified outrage. The public began questioning the power of a single platform over society itself. The executive faced a paradox: keep the company profitable or protect millions from unintended consequences. Critics called it the ultimate test of corporate morality. The company's reach was unmatched, and the responsibility immense. Amid the chaos, employees whispered about past choices. Was every growth decision worth the cost? Meanwhile, public pressure intensified. Protests, social media campaigns, and regulatory hearings became daily news. The executive remained calm publicly, a strategic mind navigating storms most could never imagine. But privately, doubt grew. Every decision carried consequences she could no longer fully control. The world began to question the true cost of power. Influence, money, and reach came at a price few could comprehend. By 2025, the executive had quietly resigned from day-to-day operations. The world was left to grapple with the system she had built. Public discussions shifted to accountability. Experts debated whether one person should hold this much influence over billions. Historians noted the unprecedented scale of her power, shaping not just a company, but the digital lives of humanity. Yet few knew her personally. A private figure who preferred strategy over fame, numbers over headlines. Some called her visionary. Others called her manipulative. The truth was more complex, a mixture of ambition, brilliance, and moral compromise. Her legacy was already written in billions of feeds, ads, and social interactions worldwide. Yet the human cost remained invisible to many. And now, finally, the question the world had been asking: who was this woman behind the machine? She is Sheryl Sandberg, Chief Operating Officer who transformed Facebook into a global empire, shaping billions of digital lives. Her story is a lesson in ambition, power, and the invisible forces that shape our world. Every decision has a ripple effect. The real question now, in a world dominated by digital empires, how much power should one person hold? Comment your thoughts below.